Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the Infamous Project. Today's episode, I'm just going to be giving you guys a shop overview / update of some of the things that I'm working on, because a lot of the focus lately has been on the Dutch number 5 car, trying to get that guy back together, a little bit on Project Lemon Drop, trying to get that body and paint done. But the thing about those two cars, well, those ones are mine. So figured I'd give you guys an update on something that isn't mine. Got it sitting right here behind me. This is a fellow enthusiast gentleman that I've known for quite a while now. He's actually supplied me with a lot of odds and ends and parts that I've needed over the years. And he picked this car up earlier this year. I believe it was an older gentleman that owned it, and he was the one that put the GT kit on this coupe and painted everything red. So needless to say, the painted trim and moldings is sort of a thing of the past, if it's even a thing of the past. I'm going to put my hand up. I was there back in the late 90s. I had a silver notch, and all my trim was painted body color. With that said, you know, times change, styles update, and well, obviously, in this case, the owner wanted the trim to go back to black. I've been busy working away at getting everything ready here. The one thing that's a little bit different, and if any of you guys have painted trim and door moldings and everything else, is that typically if you're just restoring your outside trim, you really just gotta have to do the outside part of the door here, or in this case, this whole area of the door was painted red. So needless to say, I've pulled this channel out, and this has all been scuffed down and ready. So this is all going to go back to black the way that it should be. And similarly, in the jam area here, I'm going to have to pull this weather strip out, and this should be black from here till about up here. And we're going to get that all corrected, and this is going to be looking like factory again. I guess the one real benefit of you know, having everything painted is that it protected all the trim. So all the trim was nice and smooth, it was shiny, it was clear coated. So scuffing everything down and getting it ready wasn't too bad of a job. So you can see there's a lot of red here, and there's also some black because, well, I figured I'd make a little bit of an assembly line here, and I've started pulling the black trim off the dark emerald green coupe, because that car could use a little bit of a trim facelift as well. So I figure, you know what, I might as well do them both at the same time. So I've started pulling those guys off, and they're pretty straightforward. The factory trim, you know, is actually in pretty good shape. There was no real pits or dings or anything like that. So it's scuffed down very easily. So should be a pretty straightforward process. Now in this red, you can see there's a couple black pieces in there. And you can see a couple red pieces on the floor here. So, just so you guys know, we all run into roadblocks sometimes. Things aren't always as easy as YouTube can make it look, right? So I'm honest when I say I spent an hour trying to get that trim off, the 3 pieces on the sides, each side of the windshield, and on the top side. And I started taping because I was getting scared about potentially chipping some paint. I was scared about potentially cracking the windshield. You know, I had plastic tools. I had a metal tool that was all taped up, trying to protect everything. And there was just no way that trim was coming off. These clips that hold the trim on, they must have put so much urethane, and you can see it just gobbed right in here. And that urethane was putting so much pressure on those clips, there was no way I could get the trim off without it bending or breaking, or at least no way to get it off that I could potentially not damage the paint that we want to keep fresh here. So I had to use brute force and get those removed. Thankfully, I had some pieces that came off one of the parts cars. Again, another good reason or donation from, and that came from that same 93 hatch that we crushed. So that is gone. That is the update on what's going on in this car right here. We'll be updating this taillight lens for them too, because there's a small crack. I'm going to be doing a LED conversion in the cluster with the LEDs that I always love to use. So this one pack will do your cluster and your climate control. If you want to do your dome light, your license plate lights, and your glove box light, ashtray door light, you can do all those, but you're gonna have to buy a second pack. So there you go, guys. So everything in terms of the trim and how I do it, same process, nothing crazy, not changing anything here. Same as the videos that I've put up before, same products, all that good stuff. So you'll probably see some updates on how this car turns out on Instagram. So if you're not following me on Instagram, make sure you do. That is where all the updates are. So we'll move along outside here, and you know, you can see I haven't really done much with the dark emerald green coupe here. It's still sitting here. It's still leaking, and one of the reasons why I'm restoring the trim is because I took the trim off and I wanted to see if anything is rotted in this area. Now it looks fairly clean at first glance. Just gonna have to do some more investigating here, make sure that it's solid. Everything on the underside of the wiper cowl looks good as well, so there doesn't really seem to be any issues there. What I have noticed, because we have been getting some rain, you can see the water stains in the seat. You can see it as high as here, which this is a little interesting because I don't really believe there's much of a rust issue down underneath the seat. Now I could be wrong with that. It is wet down there. Maybe more of this floor pan is rotted than originally suspected. So this carpet, however, is pretty dry. And we're still extremely wet up here. Like, this is soaked. So clearly water is getting in up here. We're gonna have to see what's going on, get that sorted out. So this is still a project that needs to get done. It needs to get done fairly quick. Still need to pull the rest of this trim off. This will all be getting done while I'm doing the red car. And then I will do a little freshen up on these quarter window moldings here. So there's the dark emerald green notch. So again, not really much of an update on that guy. However, it's not going to take much. So once I get a little bit of time that I can put aside to get it going, it'll probably be just kind of a start to finish, almost like a weekend project. So that is the dark emerald green notch. So there's two other projects that I'm working on. All right, check out this 86 GT T-top 4i car. Got a video coming on this one if I haven't already released it, depending on the sequence and how I release things. So this car belongs to the founder of Foxbody Mustangs of Peterborough, gentleman that runs that club, puts on lots of local events, and has done a great job. We've been in touch pretty much since I came back from Dubai, you know, local. So always good to have somebody in the area who's putting on events and knows the local community. So this is actually his personal car, and he was having some troubles with it. It wouldn't start. So he thought he wasn't getting spark, and had to go through a whole bunch of troubleshooting steps on it. So really good video, guys, if you guys are trying to chase a non-start problem. So I go through everything from no spark to no fuel to wiring issues, computer, everything. And the important thing is we solved the problem. The car is now running underneath its own power. So happy to have fixed this one pretty quickly, quick turnaround, and the owner's going to be just as happy, I'm sure. So right behind me here, Dutch number 5 sitting outside. Managed to push it outside and roll it on its own suspension, which is exciting. It's the first time since, well, since I pulled it all out to do the floor. So all the floors are detailed and cleaned and painted and looking good, and starting to do the final assembly on this guy. So I'm really hoping that Peter Hansen himself can see it, and I've already updated him on the car, and I'm hoping that he can come and actually help set up the ASG system that is part of the rear suspension in the back. Here's the ASG system, the Watts style setup for the rear end. So this guy needs to get cleaned and painted up, so I'm going to get that done. Got some sway bars, got a whole array of parts here that I'm working with. Brakes, clutches, flywheels, transmissions, and most importantly, the heart. So really excited to get this back in the car, and shouldn't take too much to be able to do it. You know, still got to get the fuel system in there, and none of that really, you know, overwhelms me or scares me or anything like that. It's all pretty straightforward. It's all the little stuff. It's, you know, going through and gonna have to run new brake lines and run new fuel lines and get all the calipers all cleaned up, make sure everything is good. But other than that, it should be pretty straightforward. So those are those cars. You can see my 91 Notch sitting here in the background, and I don't want to say it's been neglected, because I have been driving it daily and definitely putting some miles on this thing. It's seen more miles this season than it has probably in the past 12 years. Couple little gremlins that I'm chasing down with it still. I changed the O2 sensors the other day before going out to a big Foxbody show up in Toronto. However, car's still not running right. I was getting some lean codes, and I ended up getting some rich codes. Coolant temp sensors have been done. The O2s have been done. The MAF problem got fixed. And I think I'm actually going to check the fuel pressure regulator. It's the original one on there, and who knows, maybe the diaphragm isn't working properly. So going to dive into that when I get the opportunity, but otherwise I've been driving it daily. I swapped out the tires. Before there was a 245/45 on there. Now we have a 245/40. So indirectly, we've actually lowered the car down just a little bit more because profile change and has dropped it down. The tires that came off the car, I'm actually going to put on the wheels for the dark emerald green Notch, because those tires are shot and they're bald. So that's the update there. I was really hoping I could get around to getting the Detch rear disc brake set up on the car before the end of the year. I don't know if it's going to happen, but we'll see. I'm going to try and make some time if I can. I did manage to find some time. I put the quad shocks back in. So you can see right there, nice Coney quad shock sitting in there. And let me tell you guys, for anyone who says that quad shocks don't make a difference in your Foxbody, they're lying to you. You know, maybe it works to your advantage in a drag setup, or if you're trying to go in a straight line. But for me, or any of you guys that are lowered, I'm telling you now, invest in changing your quad shocks. They don't need to be Coneys or the greatest thing out there, but put your quad shocks back in the car, and you will notice a significant increase in the way that your car handles and rides. You know, the rear of these cars are extremely difficult to get low, and you know, they will go down. You can make it sit like this. You could go down just a touch more if you wanted to, but once you're at this height or lower, you're really sacrificing any of your overall ride comfort. So you need everything that you can get to try and withstand the bumps and give you guys a little bit of extra cushion, which the quad shocks make that difference. So there you go, guys. Note to self about the quads, and that's about it in terms of an overall update, so you guys can see what's going on and what I'm working on. There's actually another vehicle here that I'm not allowed to have on camera because not everybody wants their cars on YouTube and everything else. So it is what it is, I guess, but there's going to be a lot more coming, a lot more updates, and I figured I'd just share that with you guys. For anyone who's interested in one project more than another, well, now you know what's coming and what you can follow along and see. So thank you guys again for following along, all your support. You know, it really motivates me and keeps me going. I'm slowly creeping up on having released 100 episodes this year alone, which is really exciting. I told myself I'm going to do 2 episodes a week this entire year. Now, whether I can keep that up in 2022, Not 100% sure. Fingers crossed I'll be able to keep it up and keep you guys entertained. So thank you guys again for subscribing. For any of you guys who followed along this far, you know, hats off to you. Thanks for your support, and we'll see you guys soon.